Thank you very much. Well, that's a huge one, of course. A lot depends on under what circumstances you try to define or to feel your own loneliness. I just allow me to refer to part of my biography, recent story. As a soldier, as an officer of the armed forces of Ukraine, and I joined the army in the first days of full-scale invasion in 2022. I've never been a military before, and I never thought I was going to be a military. I was rather anti-militarist in my worldview, and I still am. And I don't see currently any contradiction between this and being proudly a senior lieutenant of the armed forces of Ukraine. Within 3 months and a half of taking part in the liberation of Kyiv region and other operations, me and 8 of my subordinates, and I was a platoon commander, we were captured by Russian forces in Luhansk region of Ukraine. And what ensued were 2 years and 4 months of Russian captivity. I was prisoner of war, held all the time on occupied territory of Ukraine in Luhansk region. But for some reason that was not enough for them, maybe because they realized, they found out that I'm a journalist and a human rights defender. And within a couple of months after the captivity, they fabricated a criminal case against me. And next year I was sentenced as a war criminal to 13 years of strict regime penal colony. And the only evidence against me was my confession, which was extracted under duress. And I really like this wording because it avoids the word torture. You know, when you want to be polite and tactful, you say under duress. It's a really useful thing. I was exchanged in October last year, so I'm really happy to be free, of course. But also it breaks my heart because all the people I spent this time with in captivity, they all but 2 of them are still there. And out of my subordinates, 4 my guys are still there. As a former POW, when you go out and you are released and you go back to your native city, and my native city is Kyiv, and I never loved it as much as I do now. You meet these hundreds and then thousands of people, wonderful people who are so happy to see you being free and almost unharmed. And I could feel so much light and happiness and warmth. At the very same time, I understood, and they understood as well, most of them, that there is something fundamentally different between us, that I feel lonely due to my recent experience. I've been to places and I've experienced something they've never been to and they've never experienced. And I really don't want them to be in that situation, never. But I also understand that something in our worldview, something in how we see the world, how we feel others, is different. And most of them actually, when they thought about it, without me hinting, they said, we know we don't know what you lived through. This is true about every single former prisoner of war or civilian detainee, and there are many more civilian detainees in Russian captivity than prisoners of war, just to remind you. It is something that differs war veteran from a civilian. I mean, we all are actually different in terms of what we live through, or at least many of us nowadays. And this is a strange feeling that you are lonely in some aspects, very important, maybe key aspects of your life. But you want to be lonely because you don't want others to share this with you, because you don't want them to be in your place. When we still were in captivity, our captors, our guards, they wanted us to feel lonely. They tried to shake us morally and psychologically, and physically as well, quite a lot. And they insisted, especially in the first several months of captivity, we were held incommunicado with no connection to the outside world whatsoever. And they told us many times that you are abandoned, you are forgotten, everyone has forgotten about you, you are on your own, You are just at our mercy, and no one has access to you, so we can do to you whatever we want, but no one cares about you, no one at all. I was lucky, I was fortunate. I just laughed at it. There was not a single second of my situation there, even in darkest moments, when I believed it. I knew, I put all my trust in my loved ones, in my family, in my friends, in my colleagues, just in beautiful people out there, that they remember me, and that they remember us. And it just turned out that other POWs, Ukrainian ones, they came to me to listen to it, that I was telling them we are not forgotten. So this is like destructive loneliness, when you are abandoned because you are isolated. They wanted us to feel isolated. Physically we were, but morally we were not. Loneliness I was mentioning before, when I was already free, is a different kind of it. It's not really isolation. It is a very mixed feeling, because at the very same time, those people I've met, I knew that I'm free because of them. They have written letters, they staged campaign, they were giving interviews, they were, I don't know, posting about me on social media, etc., etc. I knew in last several months in captivity that there is a campaign of solidarity with me, but of course I could never imagine the scale of it. And when I was out, apparently I keep meeting people whom I'd never met before who took part in it. And I know that I am free to an extent possible, and there is a fundamental difference between captivity and being at large. I'm free because of the others. My freedom is due to the other people. It's not like freedom from people, it's freedom because of the other people. And I had some time in captivity to think about things. My first degree is in philosophy, it never dies down, it never goes away. I realized I never treasured my others with capital O so much as now. I started to grasp to what extent I am human in my, to me, best manifestations because of the others. They enabled me to be myself. They enabled me by giving me tools, starting from language, those who lived here before me, and cultural situation, and also giving me situations in which I make my own choices I'm responsible for, but I'm also creating situations for them. We're intertwined. We cannot really be separated, although we are individuals. So I never treasured my others as much as now, and it is a huge, important feeling. And this feeling of being free because of the others, it's solidarity, but of some almost ontological, level, some very fundamental one. I never felt it that much. And smoothly, going from my individual situation to Ukrainian one, I recently came back from advocacy trip around Europe, around European Union part of Europe. And I had this feeling, apparently, which was experienced by many Ukrainians abroad, those I talked to, when being in other country, other peaceful place, which has not experienced what Ukrainians experience nowadays and experience for more than 3 years now. I was happy observing people. I just looked at them, at these groups of youth, or people who hurry because of their everyday things. And I had this very mixed feeling. On one hand, I was so happy to see them because these people, they live human normality. They should not go through tragedy we go through here in Ukraine on everyday level. And this is good because it's human. War is a situation of fundamental dehumanization. People should not live through war. They are not for it. I was happy to see them. At the same time, of course, I had this feeling that I know something they don't know. And there was this feeling that I want to come up to someone and like to shake him or her, almost physically saying, you don't know what's happening. You don't understand it. It's like wake-up call. And apparently a lot of Ukrainians feel the same way, those who live abroad or those who visit. This feeling of being alone in terms of, again, your experience, similar to the feeling of former prisoner of war. We live through something I really would not like other communities and countries live through. And I'm happy. I want, as terrible probably as it sounds, I want us to be lonely in this experience. Because if we are not lonely, it means that we could not defend ourselves, and other communities have to join us in this terrible tragedy. I prefer to be lonely on that. But to finalize on a positive note, of course we understand that Ukraine is alone in its tragedy, in its experience, in its everyday life and everyday struggle and sacrifice and pain and grief, which flooded Ukrainian lands and crawled into every apartment and every house and every bed. Sorrow. At the very same time, Ukraine is not on its own, it's not alone, because if it were, we would not be seeing each other here in May 2025. We would not be able to continue our resistance. We can do it specifically because other communities and other countries help us, assist us. I won't discuss now at this moment to what extent, sufficiently or not. But if we were on our own, completely, like isolated, as our guards wanted us to feel, we would not be able to withstand for so long. The only thing that bothers me, to what extent we are assisted, or there are sympathies towards us from people in other communities, just because they sympathize with the underdog being attacked by, vicious, horrible, huge neighbor. Or maybe they understand that it's not some distant Russian-Ukrainian story, that this is our common story, and they are part of it already, because Ukraine does not defend Ukraine and Ukrainian territory only. It defends values which are shared by all communities who want to live more freely, who strive to live more freely in solidarity and without fear, which is something totally opposite to the values of Russian world. So this is the most important question to me at the moment, probably. Thank you.
Thank you.